Hey everyone, so time to take a look at the best champions in each role if all you care about is climbing in solo queue. Let me know what you've seen doing a lot better so far, but also you'll find the timestamps and a list of champions down in the description as well. By the way, this video was put together with the help of the guys over at Pro Guys, so thank you to them. You can go and check out everything down below. There's a link down there. If you're looking to kind of climb to that next tier for the end of the season, it is a really good place to start. There are a bunch of guides on the website. There's also this Genius feature, which I love, where you can talk to a higher player anytime you want. So if you have any questions about builds or matchups or anything like that, you can just go and quiz them. Link is down below. Make sure you go and check it out, and thank you again for helping with the video. So starting with AD carry, and the biggest change you're going to notice is Kai'Sa dropped below a 50% win rate for the first time in a very, very long time. I don't think she's garbage or anything like that. She's still very popular, still a good champion, but the nerfs definitely hit her. So Lucian is the best overall AD carry I think that you could play. He's good at pretty much every stage of the game as long as you are good with him. They'll buff to his Q to use more of his AD this patch. I said they'll be pretty awesome because they're just an old nerf that is reverted back now. So we knew it was going to be a big change because it did hit him hard before, so it's just kind of going backwards. He's amazing up to about 25 minutes now, so it's about 2-3 items really, so you can get a lead early, but then you use it a bit more now, so you stand a more chance to win with that lead. Early game is pretty face roll, let's be honest. You trade often, you bully, you push, you use your item spikes. Later damage might not be as high as others, but you are going to be hard to kill, and you should have built a big lead as well. So one of the things I'm going to start doing in these videos is a counter thing. You asked for this last time, so a little bit about how to counter and beat these picks at the same time as why they are good. So Lucian, you want to pick other aggressive supports or AD carries like a Draven or Misfortune or something that can fight him early, and if you do shut him down, he's just not very good. Now Twitch is slowly becoming one of the best AD carries again, but the best late game choice that you can pick. Taking pressy attack or lethal tempo can help him do more early into the game, especially, as well as later actually. He's not a beast early, but he's not complete trash either like he used to be. Once he gets a few items, he does a lot of damage, but it becomes a real pain in the ass to play against. You never know where he is going to be. If you play him like a normal AD you sit at the back of fights and stuff, it isn't just that good really. But if you play him like catching people and roaming around and stuff like that, that is where his strength is. You have a proper good late game though. You're now dealing percentage damage with your blade. You're also doing true damage from your crits, and that is hitting everybody because you have your runins and your ultimate. So counter-wise, Misfortune is a really good choice here because her ultimate can still reach Twitch in the backline late game team fights, and she can bully him as well, which is really good. But apart from that, you just really group up together and you dive on him or you punish him early. So Draven is still a monster in lane, and he can kind of snowball out of control as well, which is why he's still a top tier AD carry. Misfortune, similar reasons, really strong in the early game, especially with the strong support. You can pair that together, which is great. Your damage is insane, and it is also team wide, not single target. Jhin is great once you've got a few items, and he can start to use that long range crit from rapid fire, and he has a bit more setup than other AD carries. The new one I want to talk about is Vayne. The buffs definitely helped her, but a lot more people are playing her at the moment, so it might not show up as her being much better, if that makes sense. She is still struggling a little bit though through the mid game, so it is early to mid game once you're at like one item that you do really struggle. But if you can get to 2 items, especially with the blade and the rage bait build, you stand a really good chance to win the game. So get to that point and you should be okay. Now mid is really important still, and having a strong lane means that you can move around the map, your jungler can do more, and your AD carry is probably not going to get battered mid game by the other mid lane. Leblanc is one of those champions for me really. Draven of the mid lane, I think like good chance to get ahead, and if she does, she runs around and one-shots everybody. You're probably going to win most 2v2 fights with your jungler as well. When you pick Leblanc, you have a decent roaming, and she's really scary once she gets those first few items. You can solo carry basically, this is the point, and a good one will find ways to nuke you down early and even later into the game where it becomes a bit more difficult. So outranging her burst though, or locking her down, is a really good counter, a good way to beat her. So Kassadin is another way to kind of like outscale and use your shields and stuff. That's kind of normal, but like a Veigar for example wins a lot statistically against Leblanc because he can cage and he can burst from really far away without letting her get in range to blow him up. Irelia might seem like a bit of a weird choice for the mid lane, but if you can learn this pick, I promise you, you are going to climb. It is so strong. You're insanely deadly in the lane phase. There are lots of chances to kill somebody with your jumping around with your Q and also your stun. Your ultimate is also a game changer, so it's not just about the lane phase. If you get a good one of those off in a team fight, it will have a huge impact, but maybe actually just like Irelia mid in general is because the champion is kind of broken, to be fair, so it's a bit of both. Counter-wise, without her ultimate, she's actually not that much of a problem, so if you can make her waste it or it's on cooldown, that will be the time time to go in and fight her. Also, picking stuff that can stop her mobility is really good because that is how she survives. So like a Fizz ultimate is really good, holding her in place, bursting her down, or even a Malzahar ult, for example. Kassadin is still busted after the buffs. If he gets fed, you might as well just stick your hands down your pants instead. It's pretty over. Like his insane like late game really shines now. Talon is better this patch again. Roaming is insane. That is what makes him different to other choices. He's also very good versus Kassadin, and you will see a lot of that, so you can kind of hold it as like a counter pick. Ahri is the most well-rounded choice though. Stat-wise, at least probably stand the most chance to climb with her over others because she is so reliable game to game. You do a bit of everything. Wave clear, like assassination potential. You're good early and good later, kinda. Now, Lissandra is getting better and better recently. I've seen her a bit in pro play as a counter to Akali, but it's very matchup dependent. This is what we're seeing. So more of a counter pick, really. If you get ahead, your damage is ridiculous and you can one-shot somebody, and that is where she's kind of overpowered because there's very, very little counterplay to it. You can hard counter a lot of champions normally. So like Yasuo, Akali, Echo, Ryze as good examples. A lot of stuff that you can really lock in place and prevent them kiting you around or deny their mobility. Now, jungle is mostly just getting the shake-up with a switch from Electrocute to Dark Harvest as a keystone for them. So mostly the same champions, but probably just a slightly different order or playstyle. Graves is definitely numero uno though, for sure. Like second most popular champion in the jungle, still an insanely high win rate. He's just got it all. The Warrior Stormrazor build is monstrous right now. This is what most people have swapped over to as well. You get close to him and you're getting smacked straight to the face. It lets him be better early as well, I think, and kind of burst people, which is great for this meta. If he gets ahead, it is really scary. He farms better than most champions anyway, and he will be a tanky AD carry basically. So if he gets ahead in the game early, like that should be your aim. That's where he's really strong. If you want to beat Graves though, the best way to do it is to do it early. So counter gank, invade, champions like Nidalee, Taliyah, Xin Zhao are all pretty good at this. You need to burst him down and you need to sort him out early before he becomes a problem. Kayn actually did take a bit of a dip in 8.18, but he's so versatile and he's a lot better now after his buffs. And actually, I bet you that it is the new skin. Just played way more now because of that, even if they're not very good at him. You can swap to red and blue depending on your team, but for red Kayn, for Russ, he's very hard to kill. You have mad crowd control, you have great disruption and some good healing. Blue basically nukes everything and everyone in sight. Like his insane damage, especially with Dark Harvest, so it's a real carry build. The way to counter him though is to bash him before he transforms, so that is really like where he's weak, and that is the point you do want to beat him. If you can crowd control him as well before he gets a chance to ultimate, that's also great. It's kind of like how you would play against an Echo, for example. Now Rammus is still beast at the moment, at least for solo queue. He counters like all the AD champions we have everywhere, and he does a bit too much damage with his Storm out and his ultimate. Jax is the most steady jungler, like an Ahri, I guess, of the jungle. A reliable game in, game out, decent ganker, good farmer, and amazing later. Evelynn is still worth a ban in my opinion for sure. You can 1v9 the game on this champion, has way too much damage and burst, and won't even let you play League of Legends if you're against her. I think Elise is way better than you probably think, so she's my honorable mention, especially if you fancy a cheeky Dark Harvest build. Really strong early still, does fall off a little bit later, but if you gank a ton, you dive a lot as well with your repel and invade, you're gonna be okay, and it is a good pick. You also beat a lot of meta junglers at the moment because of that. You can beat Graves, you can dual Graves and burst him down, you can get rid of like Gragas and Lucian, stuff like that, so she isn't as trash like most people think. Support legit isn't really changing. You could copy paste what I put last time, I guess. A lot of the stuff is fine, you can still play things, and I see mostly the same champions every game. Alistar you can't really go wrong with. He's a good frontline, good disruption, good setup depending on what you need at the time. You can easily dive and punish mistakes as well, so you're just never really safe on the map. Like you're seriously not safe just because you're under tower. It really changes how you have to play. He's really good at shutting down weaker lanes as well. It gives him free roam to do whatever he wants, if that is roaming to the mid lane or just flashing in and forcing a fight. It's kind of hard to like say how to counter Alistar, but basically kill him before he gets to level 6. Once he has his stuff on cooldown, he really doesn't have anything else. So if he WQs in, like that is the time to go on the enemy AD because he's got no cooldowns left. He can't do anything. After 6, you kind of want to just like make him blow his ultimate and then go in afterwards. You can also poke him down or disengage after his combo and then re-engage later. So Nami is the abuser. She will beat you and heal herself over and over in lane until you die or you have to base. I actually don't think it's possible to lose lane on Nami. It really shouldn't be. And if somebody could tell that to the support Namis I get in my lane, in my game, who just heal, that would be great. But this is the thing. If you play aggressive, you have a lot of poke and a lot of setup. That is how Nami is supposed to be played and what she's good at. But if you do sit back, you're doing it wrong. And there's no reason to pick quicker. Full engage like a Blitzcrank or a Leona is probably the best way to counter her as well. I grab her while her abilities are on cooldown if she fishes with her Q or something, and she can't really do that much. Thresh could also be the best support at the moment, I think. Can do a bit of everything well, and on a good player, it really shows at the moment. Pyke is definitely a bit interesting because we're moving away from the pure AD build back to Frozen Heart and defense and stuff. It makes his mid game better, but it's really his healing. He can trade, take some damage, and then heal it back up by using his W or getting out of sight. Morgana is like, if you can hit a bind, you have so much kill pressure in the lane phase, it's insane. And if not, you have your shield to deny plays from happening, so you can't really go wrong with her. Zyra is one I want to mention though. She's really good with more poke lanes like a Misfortune or a Jhin, but she's so good in the lane phase. Zyra is amazing at counter engage. This is why you would pick her. So they jump in and engage, you ultimate to zone to stop the follow-up, and then you turn it around. But definitely one of the better like true carry supports with damage. Top lane, I'm going to do this a bit differently. Talk about the tanks, then the carries, and then the middle ground, I guess. So for tanks, we have Sion and Poppy. Now, Sion, in my opinion, is the best tank at the moment. It does a stupid amount of damage and gets ridiculously tanky after they buff the health gain that you get from minion. Your engage is also why you would pick him. It's really good at like ganking other lanes, roaming, setting up big fights once you group. So you actually have a reliable way to get into a fight. Poppy is kind of like that, but she has a bit more damage and is a better counter pick as well for something. She's decent versus most champions, but amazing versus a couple like Yasuo or Fiora to deny their dashes. Now, to counter these kind of champions, you have two choices. You either leave them alone and you camp other lanes, or if it's like a carry matchup, you could camp them and like snowball the 1v1 matchup. It means basically that if you camp somewhere else, they don't have enough damage on their team because they're not going to be providing very much, or you stall out the game until like 3 to 4 items where tanks die a lot quicker. So for the carry picks, we have Jax and Irelia. Now, Jax is one of the best scaling laners in the game, but if he's able to get ahead, like if the jungler helps him or something like that, he can get a lead, and then that happens a lot faster. As soon as you can't stop him in a 1v1, it becomes 10 times harder to play that game for the enemy team. He will take towers, it will destroy the top laner, and then destroy team fights after. So Irelia is a bit different. She still scales, but it's more just about hitting the item breakpoints like Sheen, Trinity Force, Sterix being the big ones, I guess, and landing a huge ultimate in team fights. So the way you counter something like that is you smash them early. You pick a Garen or a Pantheon or whatever, and just don't let them scale at all. Because camp them if you want to, but try to deny farm, make them weaker, and then when they are weak, group and force play. So the middle ground is Garen, and he really is the middle of both of these. He gets kind of tanky, but he's got more damage than pure tanks. So this is why it's an issue, because he's not that great straight away, but a lot of people will struggle like carry matchups because he does about the same damage as them, maybe just a little bit less, but he lasts a lot longer. He doesn't die as fast at all, so it's really hard to fight him. That is going to wrap up the video then. Thank you for watching. Let me know down below your favorite pick or what is working for you at the moment. Thank you to Pro Guides again. Make sure you go and check him out. But for now, I will leave you with the robot.